Good morning. I was wiping my eye when Drew...
Sorry.
Whoops, sorry, folks. Caught me there. Good morning. Welcome inside the Faith Loop. It is Tuesday, April 29th, the year of our Lord, 5784, approximately. In the Gregorian calendar, we are at 2025. And I think the most important is the crisis of identity, day 2,112,006. And as I'm watching things unfold, what's being said, what's being talked about, the dialogue to me just kind of keeps changing. It just, because for one, mankind has changed the dialogue to fit his narrative in every way, shape, and form. And when I talk about dialogue, a dialogue is usually, in its base definition, is a written form of people conversing. Okay? Well, that's what the biblical narrative is dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue in it.
Yep.
Much of what we have of the words of Jesus is dialogue.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And we have changed the dialogue. Christianity has changed the dialogue. And that's why I look at this and I think changing the dialogue, and it's a mix, it's a matter of both things. Man has done so much to change it. We have to restore that by changing the dialogue back to its original intent. And understanding what the language of Jehovah is. And I don't think we do. Because our biggest challenge is understanding who and what we are as a race of beings. And I don't care who you talk to, that's pretty much consensus.
Pretty much.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
You can say what you want to, no matter what. Defining being is at the heart of everything. We're going to show a video here in a little bit, but I want to set some parameters to this, because I think it needs to be understood in this fashion, Dad. Because we run around, they want to control you, they're going to take this, and it's just terror, constant terror. And that's done on purpose. Man has used terror to control people for quite some time.
Yeah.
But I think we're at a place where that's kind of run its course. Nobody wants that anymore. It's not, you have radical factions and things like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you listen, why are they saying peace and security? Why does the scripture even say it when they cry peace and security, or peace, what says peace and safety, but the word is security? Why? Because they're tired of it too. Nobody wants to be terrorized. Really, not really.
No.
But in what way and in what peace are we talking about? See, because the word peace doesn't mean calmness. That's not what the word means. You can be calm and not at peace.
Absolutely.
I'm calm right now. But I'm not at peace with the world. Peace is an understanding of agreement, of union, of unity, of thought, mind. We sign peace agreements, peace treaties that set people supposedly in union of thought about how we exist together. That's peace. But see, again, how have we changed the dialogue? Everybody's sitting around singing Kumbaya. Well, why are they all sitting around singing Kumbaya? Because they all agree mentally. of the same mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we want peace. Can't we all just get along?
Right.
And the thing of it is, people would go, no, we can't, everybody. But see, this is what we're working towards. This is what mankind is working towards. This is what this is about. Money is a secondary thing, folks. Money's a tool. Make no mistake, we always think of money as this thing to be gained in wealth. And, oh, yeah, man, if I just have money, I'll be happy. Not necessarily, no.
No.
A lot of in fact, in this same podcast I was listening to, it was a Tucker Carlson podcast with the lady's name. I'll get it for you here because we'll put the link in the description. You should go watch this because it's quite interesting. Catherine Fitz. Yeah, I was getting there. Her name's Catherine Fitz. She worked in government for the Bush administration. She was there during the Patriot Act. She says that was a wild. It wasn't what it was. It wasn't what they told us it was about. We'll just put it that way.
Right.
She said at one point there was like $4 trillion just disappeared from the DOD after the Patriot Act was signed. Just disappeared. Why? Well, there are things going on in the world that we're not privy to. And they don't want they're not privy to because in the end they don't want you to know. It's just getting to that point where they can dictate certain things not because of what you might think, just they want to kill people. We're just no. There is a much different thought process going on. How do we explain life? And what has been happening over thousands of years on the earth? Movements. Just from the time of Jesus, how many periods of intellectual and philosophical change has happened? And the more recent ones in our memory, Renaissance and Enlightenment, to where we are today. And that's just in Western civilization, right, Pop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not counting all the other nations of the world.
No. And if you listen to every election in this country, the catchword is change. It's always, we're going to change.
Hope and change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Change to what?
So how many cultural changes have shaped the nations of the world we see today? And what is its purpose? That's the caveat to this. We see the shape, cultural change. Oh yeah, change. And his dad said, then now what? But nobody asked the question, well, for what purpose?
Right.
We don't even bother to ask that question.
And they don't even want to answer it.
Not at present. No, they don't.
No.
I agree. They don't want to answer it right now. They do.
But not at the moment.
Not at the moment, because everything's not in place.
Mm-mm.
Why do I say that? Well, to understand how to answer this question, we need to go to a place where most people don't want to go. First of all, I want to ask a question. What is myth? Well, we look at the online etymology dictionary. I'm not going to give you my definition. This is basically the world's definition here, or at least this definition. From 1830, French myth, and directly from modern Latin mythos, from Greek mythos, speech, thought, word, discourse, conversation. Wait, what? I thought it was just a lie, something made up.
Story. Yeah.
It's made up. No. The word mythos, speech, thought, word, discourse, conversation, a story, a saga, a tale, a myth. Anything delivered by word of mouth. So it could be true. A word of unknown origin. Beeks finds it quite possibly pre-Greek. Myths are stories about divine beings, generally arranged in a coherent system. They are revered as true and sacred. Wait, what? That's not the way we see myth today, is it?
No.
Have we changed the dialogue, Dad?
Somewhat, yeah.
Somewhat. I mean, that's...
I was being kind.
I think we just crumpled it up in a ball and threw it in the corner.
Threw it away, yeah.
They are endorsed by rulers and priests and closely linked to religion. Once this link is broken and the actors in the story are not regarded as gods but as human heroes, giants, or fairies, it is no longer a myth but a folk tale. Where the central actor is divine but the story is trivial. The result is religious legend, not myth. And this comes from J. Simpson and S. Roud, Dictionary of English Folklore, Oxford, 2000. General sense of untrue story, rumor, imaginary, or fictitious object or individual is from 1840.
Yeah. Amazing how words change, isn't it?
This is what I'm talking about, folks. So, how many regard their creation myth as the actual idea of existence?
Yeah.
All of them. They believed that stuff.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
this is what we have to put out. They believed it. What's driving ideology today? What's driving the fundamental narrative of existence today? What's driving it? Do we ask that question, Dad?
No, because most people aren't even aware of it.
And even in Western civilization, especially still in the United States, you have people holding on to the Genesis myth. Mm-hmm. Albeit I find it in the wrong way, but they still do it. So this is why you don't see the plan in plain view.
Right.
Because there are still too many people of different mindsets to take and reveal exactly how they want to do it, because it would be, I think there would be all-out war. Do I think that's the answer? No, because Paul even said it. We don't fight against flesh and blood. We're not here to. Peter, when Jesus said, "Take a sword," it was for your protection from wild beasts and things like that, not to go out and get in a duke-a-roo.
No, not
and
to go
force people,
start a war and kill
right?
people. I talked about that Sunday.
I know. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Because Peter wasn't aiming for his...
No.
And in fact, here's the thing. Jesus, he's saying all this, and Peter had a sword then.
Oh, he was carrying it, yeah. Yeah. Actually, there's a scene in The Chosen that I thought was amusing. I watched a few episodes of it.
Yeah.
And they're all walking. Jesus is in the front, and they're walking. Peter's back here, and they're walking along. And one of the disciples asked him, on this trail that we're going to be on, there's a lot of robbers and thieves and things like that. What happens if we... He said, we'll let Peter take care of it.
It's probably true.
I thought it was amusing.
I don't think people realize Peter was a zealot.
Yes, he was.
And if you don't understand that terminology, that was a sect of people that were very anti-Rome.
Oh, yes. Very.
Barabbas, who was in prison, whom they chose over Jesus, was a zealot.
Yes.
That's why he was in prison.
Yes. Yeah. He wasn't there just on a holiday.
Because he was fomenting
Rebellion.
treason against Rome.
That's right.
There you go. Allegory, a figurative treatment of an unmentioned subject under the guise of another similar to it in some way. It is late 14th century, Old French, allegory. 12th century from Latin, allegoria. From Greek, allegoria. Pretty similar in their forms. Figurative language, description of one thing under the image of another. Literally, a speaking about something else, which is what we've done with the Genesis narrative. Mm-hmm. From allos, another, different, and from agorion, speak openly. Speak in assembly. From agora, assembly. And that's what that is, an allegorist. You speak in an assembly.
It's like a parable.
Yeah. So that's what we're those are those words there. And I think it's you have to understand that. And I'm getting to a point, bear with me. But if you don't build a foundation to understanding, how are you supposed to get to where you can see something correctly? Well, the tragedy is, because of what we've done to the Genesis narrative, it has created all kinds of issues that we have today in the many different thought process of this, and this person says this and this. But one day, I was reading the 3rd chapter of Genesis again, and going through, because, now the serpent, or now the ancient hiss was more subtle, which is what it says. The nakash was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And that's a terrible translation of all of that. Beast of the field is a living creature. And he said unto the woman, I thought it was the adversary, or what we call the devil, Satan, that was talking to her. No, it was a beast of the field that God had created. He made. Could talk. It wasn't. And I always think it's funny. We always show this serpent sitting in the tree talking to the woman.
Yeah.
Right? Well, didn't that happen after this? So how could it be this snake on its belly before he was cursed to go on his belly? God in heaven, have we got no sense? No, we don't. And when I started reading that, I'm like, how stupid are you, French? You're listening to this nonsense, seeing that kind of thing. My goodness, it's right here.
Yeah.
That happened after the fact.
Right.
Not here. But this is always pictured as a serpent on his belly in the tree talking to the woman to do this. Well, that was after the fact, my friends. So why do we do that?
Haven't been cursed yet.
Dear Jesus. So
that's why he was cursed.
I think we got a little fiction there, don't you think? It was a beast of the field, which the Lord God had made, and he said unto the woman, here's this word beast used, living creature. You know what's interesting? Is that's all man became. A beast of the field. No different than that creature right there.
Right.
And this is the understanding of the term beast used for nations throughout the rest of the narrative. And we miss it because we do not discern properly. It's right there. It's from the beginning. And so man just became the beast of the field, which he was let go to do that. That's not how that. No, that's exactly what it is. And you see it the rest of the way. What were nations? Beasts. They were you had the bear. Are they bears? Are they this? No. But it was a form and understanding of nations of men. And we know this. We say it everywhere else except for when we get to Revelation, then it's like one man. Well, no, it isn't. It's still nations. This beast of Revelation is just the nations of the world, my friends. And not to mention, it's that beast who is completely influenced by the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah. Function and dysfunction. Absolutely. I agree. It's always been amazing to me that when you're talking about, what we call myth. Most people, even Christians, view Genesis as a myth.
Yes.
Because how could that happen? This snake talking to him and this tree that you can...
Is it true, right?
Yeah. And, we say apple, we said fruit. Well, fruit, as I talked about it last Sunday, fruit can mean anything, not just a piece of fruit. The fruit of your labor, your wage, the fruit of your eyes, what you see.
It's what is produced.
It's what's produced. It has nothing to do necessarily with just one thing.
Right.
You can say, and we do it, the fruit of the womb. Mm-hmm. What's produced in the womb, a child. So when we look at these words, we have to understand what is being talked about. I don't believe they took a bite of an apple and all of a sudden they were wise. That's foolishness. It's just foolishness. We treat it like a fable, in a way. And if you look at, as Brian was talking about, you have to look at the meaning of these words. And I thank God for a guy named Jeff Benner.
Yeah.
He spent 40 years of his life now. He was asked a question one time, what makes you an expert? Well, maybe these 40 years I've been studying it. You didn't go to college. No, I've just been studying for 40 years.
The guy was some kind of science engineer or something.
Yeah, he was.
Genius level.
Right. Yeah, he did go to school for that.
He's he has some sort of intellect,
right.
I guess.
But the original Hebrew was written in pictographs, as we understand and know, as pictographs, like hieroglyphics in Egypt.
Yeah.
Somebody figured those out.
Yeah.
Well, he figured this out. And if you look at the word for tree there, it also means counsel. Mm-hmm. Counsel in the sense that we're counseled. We're taught something. What are you listening to? We're counseled all time. Politically, on the job, everywhere we're counseled. And we have to pick out and choose what we believe is the proper counsel.
And what does that counsel produce?
And Adam was being counseled by the Lord. Eve was being counseled by this beast. Eventually, they believed the wrong counsel. They believed the wrong story. And what happened? They lost their place in the garden. They lost their place in the home. They were put out of the garden. Not because they ate an apple for Pete's sake. They were convinced. Eve and Adam both became convinced that they could do for themselves.
And Dad, but in the language, again though, as you're going through this, but within the language and what we're talking about, what did it produce?
Yes.
See, what seed was produced and what
Absolutely.
it opened up. And you talked about the opening of this.
And the fruit it bore.
Exactly. So it produced in her what? Rebellion.
Yes.
Against the counsel of Jehovah. No, I'm going to accept this
Right.
as a... But see, what's the purpose of it? See, just, oh, it's rebellion. We don't... No. That's the act. What did it produce in them? The idea, the belief that they could be what Jehovah is.
Yeah, and determine their own existence.
They could live by their own strength. This strength I have that was given to me from Jehovah, I can take this and do it for myself. I can live by my own strength. And this is what man has been producing ever since and has not been able to do it. But this is what's happening now. What you see in this narrative right here in Genesis 3 is happening right now in the world.
Yeah, been going on.
And has been since in varying degrees. Today, the difference is, and I believe this very much, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here.
That's fine.
The difference is, and when we look at the things, because what is, I want to make this, because what is the language of rebellion? And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. Because she said, oh, yeah, we can eat from all the trees, but we can't eat from that one or we die. You shall not surely die. What are we saying today? We don't have to die. We have the technology. In this deal, there are all kinds of people purporting to be immortal. You're not free from accident, but we can perpetuate life longer, 150 years, 200 years. How long do you want to live? This is the thought process. You shall not surely die. We can live by our own strength. We're getting the technology, AI, all the things that are coming. Well, where's this technology coming from? See, because if you read the extra biblical, which is, I think, why it was pushed away, you understand where this knowledge came from that ended up precursing the flood.
Yeah, exactly.
Because those sons of God, those men that came, the sons of God that came, started sharing information they were not supposed to with mankind.
Right.
And I believe since the adversary has been released, the dragon up out of the abyss, and I know many people don't believe that's happened yet, and all the nonsense of dispensational theology perpetrated on us, again, a changing of the dialogue, but it has, in the form of the Renaissance and science and humanism, human flourishing. That has nothing to do with Jehovah. It's mankind's attempt. And it's this right here. You shall not surely die. For God knows in the day that you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. This is the point. That word gods there is strength. It's Elohim. It's not Jehovah or him. It's the strength of Jehovah. You'll have the strength of Jehovah. You can take this for yourself and know and have all the knowledge and everything. It's the knowledge of good and evil dictating and saying this is who we are. It's right here. This narrative has never changed. This has always been the rebellion. Mm-hmm. And if you understand this and take it down through, as you've always talked about, that the narrative interprets the narrative all the way through, it's not changed, then you understand this has been the mindset of man from this time. And it still is today. And now we have the adversary released again. Where is all this? In the last days, knowledge will increase how many fold? Is it? Heck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Leaps and bounds.
Where are we getting it from? Where's it coming from?
Yeah.
We don't really understand what's happening behind everything. And if you don't take upon yourself that mark, that belief.
Careful now. Careful.
It's not a number. It's not a chip. It's an idea. It's this. You don't have to die. You'll be as God. This mindset, this same mindset, it may be said a little bit different today, but this is what the mark of the beast is.
Well,
look who was saying it. This is the mark. The beast had that same mindset right here. Absolutely. It's all right here.
The forehead was the mind.
Well, yes, absolutely, yeah.
And when the word forehead is used in the scripture, it's mind. It's here. That's why they wore the phylacteries on their head.
This is what the beast represents, folks. Did God say, "You shall not surely die"? You can be as gods. That's the beast. It's not a man. It's not a particular system of this or that. It's the idea of rebellion against Jehovah. Now, are they setting up a system of, or a existence, a life, the planet, whatever the case may be? And if you don't take upon yourself that mark, you're not part of it.
All right.
That's okay. I'm going to take Jehovah. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. You can hear this and accept it, or you can hear it and go on down the road and stay with the Christian doctrines and do whatever you think you need to do. It's up to you. You have to make these decisions. But this is the truth of it. This is the language of rebellion, and it still exists today, and it's the same as we saw when we come to Revelation. In Revelation 13, the second beast, which was formed and had the form of the first beast, but also had horns like a lamb, but spoke like a dragon. That's what we see today.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. That's what it's about. And it was come up out of the earth, which means it came from man, not Jehovah.
Absolutely.
And we're going to make the earth our dwelling place, and we're going to take it from Jehovah. That's the rebellion of it. Why do you think there's a war at the end of this? It's not even a war at the end. The war is still raging. There is a warfare. It's not flesh and blood, folks. It's ideology. It's this mindset. You shall not surely die. We'll take and create life for ourselves. We'll exist forever. This is what it's about. And when we let go, we have to let go of this mindset of rebellion, this language of rebellion. And this is the beast spoken of in the Bible, because the institutions of Christianity have not provided the answers to existence. And in fact, y'all ready for this? Most people know this, but we just won't recognize it, because if we say something, we might just, you be ostracized. What? I'm not worried about that anymore. I got to stand before Jehovah. And the reason I believe that is because of this Genesis narrative. And I've read the other creation myths, and nothing in these creation myths define being except the Genesis narrative.
The only one.
So that's the one I accept as true. The other myths, I don't. They say they're true, but they're not. I didn't come from sweat. I am not broken pieces of an eggshell. Those are part of creation myths, folks. I'm not created out of the union of some gods and eggs and things like. It's just nuts. No, man was created in the image and likeness of Jehovah. That isn't anthropomorphism. No, we are the image and likeness of Jehovah. And we've tried to steal it from him in rebellion against it.
Yeah.
Christianity is that whore riding on the beast spoken of in Revelation. That's hard for us to accept. But it's true.
Well, people miss this one part in Revelation. I've noticed it during the years. The scarlet-colored beast, the woman that sat upon the scarlet-colored beast, the Bible says she was the mother of harlots. Well, who were her children?
Oh, stop it. Get out
Careful
of town.
now. Careful. Who were the children? Think about it. Just think about it. I challenge you to think about it. Just give it some thought. See what you come up with.
See, because in Revelation 13, you have the first beast. I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. This beast, this first beast that this is talking about here, we're talking about just before the coming of Jesus, the Roman Empire, the last, spoken of, that iron from Daniel. Daniel stopped at Jesus, folks. Daniel's revelation, the book of Daniel was about the coming of Jesus at that time. Not out here in where we live. Stop. That was for Israel and Jesus coming to the lost sheep of Israel. That's all of that. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Daniel, Micah, all of them. That had to do with the coming of Jesus in the time that he was born into the world. Period. There's nothing beyond to put into those things. Nothing. It's finished, he said. All of that was fulfilled in that. He fulfilled everything that had come to that point to bring us to this place where now we have to make a decision. We see life. For the first time, mankind had witnessed the truth about existence in a man.
Yeah.
And we beheld his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came bearing the household, bearing the name, and the truth, full of grace and truth. I've come that you might have life, and that more abundantly. And and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and worship. What's the dragon? It's that same thing, that ancient hiss, that lie that was the beast poured into the ear of the woman. That's what this is talking about. They worshipped it. That's what it was. Rome, ne plus ultra. Nothing beyond.
Nothing beyond. This is it.
We're the city of light. They worshipped that strength. We'll form our own strength. That was a form of that right there. The second beast came up out of the earth and had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke like a dragon, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. What does it mean by that? See, what we don't understand is what Jesus brought into the world. He put down, the dragon was defeated.
Yep.
Death, hell, and the grave, he defeated it all. Showed Jehovah that a man could live according to the truth and overcome the adversary and the mindset of the adversary. The first beast. How many of them came to him? The Jews constantly. We'll put you on the throne. They tried to put him up there by force, and he said, no, that's not what I've come to do.
Right.
I'm not here for that. I've come to share with you the truth of my Father and what life is, the will of him who sent me, that determined life. Forsaking this world, the Jews, they were God. No, they weren't. You're of your father, the devil, Jesus said. Did we miss that part? I think most of Christianity is of their father, the devil. That's hard. I know. See, when are we going to shake ourselves out of this apathy, though, and look at things in the right way? If we don't, we're going to be as guilty as anybody else, folks. It's being born from above, and it's being who we were created to be. Not Christian, not Jewish, not this or that. It has nothing to do with those things. It has to do with being in the image and likeness of the Father and living according to that will, that determination of existence, the tree of life, and that narrative. Because this right here, I'm not worshiping the beast or his ideology, but that's what they're getting ready to perpetrate on us right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're doing. And they're going to stand up and say, we've created peace, union of thought and mind within the world, and what we're going to do. And you are secure in life. And you don't have to worry anymore. We'll take care of it all. We got this.
Yeah.
We've overcome death.
Yep.
And if you don't think that isn't what's happening, I've got a piece of video to share with you as we finish this. Because it's getting a little long. I know I've been flapping my gums, but I want to play this. This is part of this. And Drew, I'm sure he's got it already, the link in the description there. Thank you, sir. And you can go watch this full thing. It's very interesting. And don't look at it from the standpoint of American or this. No, look at it from this standpoint, the understanding that this is what mankind is doing. And the second beast, the narrative, you shall not surely die. Because in the day that you do eat of it, he knows. That's what this is about. We'll see you tomorrow. Pam and Dad will be back tomorrow on Inside the Faith Loop. Same time, same place. We love you. We care about you. Go ahead and roll it, Drew.
You know, so you had 57 varieties of ice cream and you're pitching them to 57 different niches, but you're still pitching to mass audiences. What we're talking about is a system where you can surveil, control, and influence one person at a time. And with AI and software, each person can have their custom surveillance, influence, nudging, and control system.
And punishment.
Yes. Enforcement.
Because ultimately, if you control money, you can starve people to death. You can kill them.
Right. So go back and think of the pandemic. So if I say you can't go more than a mile from your home, and I say you have to be mandated a pharmaceutical, then if you don't take the pharmaceutical, I can turn off your money. If you go more than a mile away from your home, your money and your credit cards won't work. So if whatever rules I lay down, there's a wonderful example. The head of the Bank of International Settlements is the central bank of central banks, and it's been running the process to implement basically an all digital monetary system. And they have innovation hubs all over the world. They've been running this process for a long time. And in 2020, when the pandemic started, or it was October 2020, so the pandemic was underway, the general manager of the Bank of International Settlements was on an IMF panel. And in 1 minute, it's the first time in my life I ever saw a central banker tell the truth. I fell off my chair. And he said, the beauty of this is we can set the rules on how your money works, and we have the technology to enforce them. And what he was saying is literally from one place in, anywhere in the world where the technology exists, you can track each person individually. You can set a complex list of rules, like legislation, regulation, and administrative policy, and you can enforce them all with the technology with AI and software. So have you ever seen